Gide to do our official welcome for us today. Thanks, Abongide.
Thank you, Lynette, for that introduction. Good morning to everyone. Good morning to all the young people, the special guests that are joining us from across the country. Good morning to all our partners and speakers that have also agreed to participate in our event today. Amongst those, the Deputy Minister, as you've already mentioned. We also have a special guest, Miss South Africa, Ms. Shudufatso Musinda, our very important partners that are always there and willing to support as we spread the message of online safety, especially from the operators, Facebook, Google, MTN. We also have partners from Media Monitoring South Africa that are here, Diana Schwartz attorneys, the Tammy Dish Foundation, and also the department, and also our colleagues from the Film and Publication Board. And I think I also just need to emphasize the young people, because I think the most important stakeholders that we need to reach today, if we were to measure the success of today, it would be learners, parents, and teachers at home. Today's millennial generation do not know a world before the internet or mobile devices. Digital natives often look at us in amazement when we talk about looking through the encyclopedia for information. Who remembers the Britannica days? Because all the information you need is at your fingertips. These days, when you have a question, Google is your friend. Just yesterday, I heard a 6-year-old enthusiastically declare that they spent a part of their afternoon learning how to speak Hawaiian from the comfort of their home in South Africa. This, after watching the Disney cartoon Moana, spiked her interest in learning the language. So the internet is a great place that allows children to explore the world much better than the digital immigrants could have at a very young age. In 2021, all the information you could ever want is at your fingertips. There isn't even a need to leave your home to go to school. You can get your lessons from the comfort of your living room couch. COVID-19 has proven just how possible a virtual existence really is with today's technology. But like any great revolution, the challenges are almost as many as the benefit. As a parent myself, the generation divide on the safe use of online content is a constant learning curve. Trying to keep my children safe online in a world where new apps and platforms are constantly coming on stream and online exploitation of children is a growing problem means I have to keep myself up to date constantly. It's a huge responsibility. Along with an increase in connectivity through access to cheaper data, comes new social ills like cyberbullying, cyberstalking, revenge pornography, theft of personal information, and a rise in fake news. For more than 7 years, the Film and Publication Board has expanded its role as a content regulator to bring cyber safety education to the country through the annual Safer Internet Day campaign, better known as SID. Each year, we partner with many other like-minded organizations in the private sector and government. No one person or organization can tackle a challenge as large as online safety alone. We are grateful to our partners for always being available to work with us on educating the South African public on cyber safety. SID is celebrated in approximately 140 countries on the second Tuesday of the second month to raise awareness on emerging online issues such as cyberbullying, revenge pornography, and cybercrimes. The campaign slogan, "Together for a Better Internet," is a call to action for all stakeholders to join together and play their part in creating a better internet for everyone, especially for younger users. We are joining hands with thousands of others all around the world as the Safer Internet Day advocacy campaign brings all our voices into one. A global campaign like this is a serious force for good. And today you are all part of that movement. We continually gather research being done in this space, and some of the statistics are very alarming. Today, we want everyone in this room to become an advocate for the safe use of the internet and social media platforms. If you are not already a safer internet activist, we are here today to give you more information on what it means to be cyber safe. But today is also a chance to raise questions, to debate and discuss. We also bring a very human aspect to cyberbullying and focus on the mental health risk we all need to be aware of when engaging online. Cyberbullying can have very real mental health consequences for victims. You may hide behind the veil of anonymity that provides a sense of security online, but the impact definitely has a human face. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge all of you to participate fully in our process today. We welcome the debate and discussions, because without it, we cannot create a digital world that is safe for our children today and into the future. So to start off our path today, let me introduce our Deputy Minister, who is a great advocate of online safety. Deputy Minister Kekana completed a Bachelor of Arts degree specializing in education and teaching. Ms. Kekana's experience as a secondary teacher fueled her passion for education and South Africa's young people. She is committed to improving opportunities for young South Africans from all walks of life. Ms. Kekana was elected to the provincial legislature of Limpopo in 1999 and was elected and re-elected in 2009. She has served as the executive mayor of the Waterberg district and an MEC for roads transport, as well as MEC for economic development, environment and tourism in Limpopo. On 21 May 2014, Ms. Kekana was elected to be a member of the National Assembly. As a member of parliament, Ms. Kekana served on the Standing Committee of Finance and Ad Hoc Committee on the filling of vacancies in the Commission for Gender Equality. In 2015, she was elected to the ANC Women's League Executive Committee and was subsequently deployed to be the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women Organization. In her capacity as the Secretary General of PAO, Ms. Kekana was committed to ensuring all African women, particularly girl children, are empowered. As someone who hails from a rural town, Ms. Kekana understands and recognizes the importance of bringing the digital divide between people living, working, and traveling in regional and remote parts of the country and those in metropolitan cities. Our society is rapidly moving towards using cutting-edge technology, and more people are getting access to the internet year on year. Ms. Kekana believes that rural South Africans should have access to 21st century communications to run their businesses, complete their studies, and connect with families and friends. Welcome, DM. We thank you for your ongoing and tireless support to the FPB in this dialogue. Over to you. Thank you very much. I hope everyone enjoys the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting CEO, Mayor Abongile Mashele. Let me take this opportunity to recognize important institutions and companies that form part of this Expo. I'm told, and let me welcome Miss South Africa, Wo Shudufatso Musinda, Wo Tanganedzwa, Mwanamianga. From Facebook, we have Miss Ololode Shylon, Phil Odo, and Miss Nosipo Lushaba Dladla. From Google, South Africa, here we are represented by Yolanda Mlonzi, Media Monitoring South Africa. Let me recognize Ms. Pagamile Kumalo. From MTN South Africa, I want to recognize Cheryl Denkerman. Dinah Schwartz attorneys are here represented by Dinah Schwartz. Let me also recognize Know Before, which is represented by Anna Collard. Simulhong is also represented by Joe Mawela, and our department, especially the Cyber Toolkit unit, is here represented by Sipokas Nyangiwe. Of course, the list may not be exhaustive, but it is important, Program Director, to also recognize the presence of our parents, of educators, of learners and students, and our children, and everyone who uses the internet. Today is the 18th edition of International Safer Internet Day, observed annually on the second Tuesday of February. What started out as an initiative of the European Union Safe Borders Project in 2004 has today grown beyond its traditional geographic zone and is now celebrated in approximately 170 countries worldwide, including many across the African continent. In South Africa, the Film and Publications Board, as a member of InHope, is the South African Safer Internet Day SID committee member that leads SID activities in our country. The activities are hosted in partnerships with stakeholders in the child protection and cyber safety space. Through Film and Publications Board, South Africa is part of the global conversation and reviews on policy, as well as being able to discuss major areas of impact as it relates to internet safety, from cyberbullying to social networking to digital identity. Each year, Safer Internet Day aims to raise awareness of emerging online issues and current concerns. With 2020's global pandemic making us more reliant on the internet, the theme of Together for a Better Internet is more meaningful than ever, as we have seen such a massive increase in cyberbullying, online violence, trolling, and many more. Observing this day calls for all stakeholders to join together to make the internet a safer and better place for all, especially for children and young people. The theme program director encourages everyone to join the movement, to participate, and to make the most of the internet's potential to bring people together, which was its original purpose. With a global community-led approach, Safer Internet Day encourages everyone to come together and play their part. To observe Safer Internet Day this year, the FPB has asked themselves the question, what are we doing to support SID 2021 slogan of Together for a Better Internet? The Film and Publications Board has a mandated responsibility to protect South Africa's children from exposure to harmful content. Thus, the organization needs to play a leading role in creating awareness around the dangers of the internet, as much as it is incumbent on the organization to use the digital space as an empowerment tool. For this year's virtual event, the Film and Publications Board wanted to give an edutainment edge with the intention of mimicking an Expo format, but online. By collaborating with various stakeholders in child protection and cyber safety space, they have a full day planned where all stakeholders are allocated an information stand to learners to interact with representatives from various organizations on the work they do to protect citizens online. Being a netizen or citizen of the net comes with many responsibilities and compliance that most people don't pay much attention to. Program director, we take lessons and get a license to drive a car. Yet we navigate the internet every single day and probably don't know half of how it works and what the many risks are. I urge you to give yourselves lessons on digital literacy and digital ethics, as well as what laws applies to the use of the internet and how those laws are applied. Not only should you know the basics, but you should be educating your children as well. There are many courses that the Film and Publications Board offers, as well as entities of government, including the private sector, especially the participants who are here with us today. As parents, it is one thing to put up walls and gates, live in gated estates and boomed areas to keep our families safe. And it's another to hand a device that has zero security on it. And we wonder how people hacked our emails, our social media, our bank accounts, and even worse, stalking, harassing, and bullying. Educate yourself. Today is definitely a day to do just that, as it's all about safety on the internet. To Abongile Mashele, our acting CEO from the Film and Publications Board, and the entire team of FPB, I want to thank you for all the great work you are doing to keep South Africa's children as safe as possible, and for doing all you can to educate children, parents, and educators. On that note, I want to wish you all the best with the rest of the activities today. Make it meaningful and impactful, and let's always put the online safety of South Africans first. Program Director, on this note, I wish to wish you good luck, and let me hand over to Lynette Kamineth. I thank you.
Thank you very much, DM, for your message. As always, we can always count on your support when we're running these events to open them for us formally. I absolutely love what you said about the internet driver's license. I think it's a very novel way of looking at it. We wouldn't get into a car without first having been able to learn to drive and being passed and somebody putting a rubber stamp on saying you are now a safe driver on the roads of our country. So I think maybe if there's someone from the Department of Education here, that is maybe something that Department of Education can look into. Just like I know my kids are still little and they get something called a pen license when they're learning to go from a writing in pencil to writing in pens. We could also have a safer internet license. I think that's a brilliant idea. So I would like to, we are going to move over to our next speaker, but we're still waiting. I think our Miss South Africa is having some technical challenges linking up with us. So to just ask for your patience with us, and we're going to skip to the next speaker on our agenda. And it's my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Opa Maghalemele. He is our acting research manager at the Film and Publication Board. He is our walking encyclopedia. So we don't really even need the internet because Opa is our go-to guy whenever we need information in the business that is going to help us to drive our programs. He's a key partner of our communications unit for sure. He helps us to set up all our concept notes and our briefing notes and everything like that. And Opa has just recently completed conducting what we do every 2 years called a convergence survey. with some amazing results coming out of it, some amazing insights. So we asked Opa to come along today to just help us understand the issue of cyberbullying and mental health, and what has come out of our convergence survey that we can pull on to give a better indication of how this scourge is actually affecting us in South Africa. Over to you, Opa. Opa, sorry, can you just unmute your mic? Opa, sorry, I think you're still on mute.
Thank you indeed, and I recognize the Deputy Minister and all the distinguished guests who are in our midst. And yes, indeed, I'm here just to share some of the insights that we are making from the data we are gathering in the research that we've been doing. I noticed that Miss South Africa's passion is mental health, and it goes very much in line with our concerns around cyberbullying. And so I'll be talking about the results that we are getting from the convergence survey that we just concluded, that show the level to which young children accesses media and the different formats that they access media, and how without some kind of intervention from adults, whether it's also authorities such as the FTB, parents, schools, how that literally leaves children, on their own in a very, very precarious situation out there. So I'm going to share the slides that I have prepared for this conversation.
You can carry on, Opa. The slides are up.
Can you see the slides, colleagues?
Yes, Opa, you can go ahead. You can maybe just put it on full screen, and then you can go ahead.
Let me do that. Can you confirm if I'm on full screen?
Yes, Opa, please go ahead.
All right, so colleagues, we just want to share with you some of the findings that we've made from the work that we did, trying to understand the levels to which our regulation as the Film and Publication Board goes in line with the sentiments of the public out there in terms of the values and principles. But we also wanted to establish the media content that children are exposed to, seeing that there are so many new devices or platforms that information can now be accessed. Ms. Mashele was talking about how how all the young people that we have today do not know the world before the internet. For them, access to information is something that is a given. They just spoiled for choice when it comes to information that exposes them to a whole lot of very useful information, educational information. They can connect with different people from different parts of the world. But also, like the warning that she said, with every revolution, all the benefits that come with it, there also is in the backside of that the dangers that we need to be aware of, so that we anticipate and plan to get around those dangers. We also wanted, through this convergence survey, colleagues, to establish the levels to which the public generally actually adhere to our guidelines, and in different spaces that they have influence, whether it's parents at home, whether it's just adults interacting with children anywhere, or teachers at a school context, for example. So we had this idea that what could be the root causes of this uncontrolled exposure to media? How is it that today children are so exposed to all types of media? And our assumptions were that there's this easy access to digital devices through smartphones. I've just become one of the guilty parents. I purchased a smartphone for my 9-year-old. She's been pestering me, saying that all her friends are on, WhatsApp and they are chatting, and she's left out. So they grow into. They are surrounded by these devices. So that gives them access to the internet and all sorts of content that they find there. But also there is this situation where parents tend to hand over the caring after children, especially when they are stressed with their own work or other responsibilities. They are very happy to see children take their devices and keep quiet, or maybe move into their own rooms and keep quiet and not run around and cause more stress. So you find that these devices are seen more and more as some kind of substitute caregivers for children. We also found that there's also the issue of that parents hand over these devices to children and do not themselves actively engage in how these children use these devices, what they do when they are online, their online behavior. Parents tend to be virtually absent in that space. So those are some of the issues that we were looking at. But also we just had an assumption that if there is an inadequate public trust about how we regulate media content, then it means we have to look inward as a regulator and find ways to communicate our mandate in a way that gains us public trust, but also we expose ourselves to engagement from public and become accountable to the public in a way that is consistent. Those are some of the things that we could do to entrench the legitimacy that we seek in a democratic society as a state regulator. So colleagues, these statistics, they show some of the things that they are the results from our convergence surveys. So they actually show us what people that we interviewed have to say about things that we wanted to find out. So one of the things that we wanted to find out was what kind of websites did the parents forbid their children to watch, and we've arranged it by province, and you can see the results there, which shows that quite less than a third in most cases of parents across the country do not have any sites or specific content that they forbid their children from watching. But there were certain content or sites that parents were particularly concerned about. And here it is pornography, where you see, except for the Northern Cape, where you have only 54% of parents forbidding their children from watching that content. Most of the respondents, pretty much almost all, 2/3 and upwards, up to 91% in the Eastern Cape, they forbid their children from watching pornography. And then also there's also adult sites or adult content. So colleagues, for someone from a distance from media content regulation, you might be saying, but what is the difference between porn and adult content? So adult content would be anything that is rated in a particular category in terms of the age that the person who is consuming has to be at least. Whereas pornography is content that has explicit sexual content. So there are also other types of content that are adult content without necessarily being pornography. And those are the two main sort of category of media content that parents generally forbid their children from having access to. You see, when it comes to social media, you know, in all provinces, it's less than 1/3 of parents who forbid their children from engaging in social media. In other cases, it's quite very insignificant, like the Free State and the Western Cape, where you have just around 8% of parents not liking their children getting into social media space. The games category, which is a very interesting and I think it's very important for all of our education, that parents tend to view gaming as just innocuous. It's just gaming. Children are playing a video game. And you can see that attitude reflected in the numbers here, where just about 2.5% of parents up to completely 0% in the Northern Cape, for example. There's a extremely low level of consent from parents' point of view about what video games children are actually playing. And yet the Film and Publication Board does rate games as well, because they do have content that is potentially harmful. And there's a lot of research that has been done that shows the level to which violence, especially graphic violence in video games, is one of the draw cards, especially for young people. And there's a graphic and vivid violent content, especially when people access it frequently, like it is the case with gaming. It does have a direct correlation with the proclivity to become violent in real life. That association is not necessarily causal, but it is definitely direct. So when you look at the South African context, which is a generally highly violent society, it's concerning that young children are exposed to violent games, and they are quite familiar, and those games rate amongst their very favorite games, and parents are not aware of that. They are actually the people who purchase these games for their children. Parents are the ones who become content when children are in their rooms or in front of a screen playing the game rather than running around knocking things off. And yet they are not aware of the potential dangers that kind of activity actually spells out for children, but also for normalizing violence as a sort of default mechanism for conflict resolution in society. It becomes something that we need to be very much concerned about. And then the other category there, movies. You can see there again, generally, parents are not necessarily concerned that much, so they don't, have any restrictions in terms of the movies that children can watch. And yet we do regulate movies, and we assign age ratings based on the content that is in all these different sort of media content formats. So perhaps there are assumptions that if people are not naked and they are not having explicit sex, then everything goes, and there are serious problems with that, and it's important that we do make ourselves concerned about it. Okay. So we also asked, what measures parents or adults in households have in place to ensure that they control the access to different websites. And here we find that in most cases there are no measures put in place. In very few instances, in the Free State, for example, we have quite a low number of people, as well as in Limpopo, of parents who make use of passwords to control access to websites. One province where you have a relatively higher sort of consciousness around blocking or controlling access on the internet for children, you see it is in the Western Cape, where 54% of parents actually make use of a password, and 64% of parents ensure that they have some sort of supervision as to what children are doing, and also checking from time to time what children are doing. In the Western Cape, you see there are consistently higher levels of engagement at that level. But overall, you can see that there isn't you don't have a strong tendency for taking measures to ensure that children's access to content is controlled in one way or the other. Okay. And then we also wanted to have a sense, because we are aware that there are very high levels of attachment to digital devices amongst young people. So we wanted to have a sense of the amount of time children spend online. And what we find here is that, there's, the time that parents actually spend when their children are online. You'll find that in Mpumalanga, the Western Cape, the Northern Cape and Limpopo, parents tend to never engage. And you find in the Western Cape, the number of parents who report never to engage is quite low at 13%. And then where parents do spend half the time, at least of the time spent by their children online. In the Western Cape, it's at 78%, followed by Eastern Cape at 70%. But generally, you see the numbers they're hovering just around, 50%, even down to 42% and 38% in KZN. So, but there's also quite parents who say that they do this all the time. In the Free State, the number there was 25%. In KZN, the number there was almost 31%. So you do have those parents who tend to be sort of on the other extreme, who actually spend pretty much all the time with their children when their children are online, monitoring what they are watching. And then here, we just wanted also to get a sense of, what are the levels of awareness of children playing video games, whether at home or at somebody else's home. So we found that, in most of the provinces, the number there for parents who were aware of video games being played, either at their homes or in other homes that their children frequent, is less than 50%. What jumps out there is the Western Cape once again, where 73% reported that they are aware of children playing games, whether in their own households or when they are visiting friends or relatives. Okay. So we just want to I think that gives you a sense of the level of engagement from parents' side with their children's online activity, and this sort of creates a context where some of the things that could happen are happening, and one of the things that Lynette mentioned, which is a big concern for all of us, is the issue of cyberbullying. So there's Ipsos in 2018, they released a study where they were trying to understand the levels of awareness amongst parents of cyberbullying. And South Africa featured quite strongly in that study. So if you see, South Africa is number 4 amongst countries where there's a great awareness level of cyberbullying. That, colleagues, is a good thing, in that just because a problem, just because you don't know a problem or do not understand it doesn't mean the problem does not exist. And the first way to deal with a problem is basically to know it and address it. So it's a good thing that we rate quite highly amongst countries that are aware of cyberbullying that happens. And also the study found that a majority of parents in South Africa, they know a child who has been victimized by cyberbullying. That of course is a cause for great concern. As you know, that online bullying, otherwise known as cyberbullying, is only one form of bullying. There's always been offline or real life bullying. So it suggests that South Africa has a bullying problem generally. Okay, and then this here just shows that the same challenge is experienced in the United States. Right. And these are the statistics on cyberbullying in other regions, like Asia Pacific, for example. But here it shows that the problem is far less pronounced in that region than it is in the USA, and also, as the statistics show, in South Africa. What are some of the sort of factors that are contributing to this? In other words, when we talk about netizens, Abungide spoke about netizens, that children are citizens of the net. That's the world they live in. You know, they spend a lot of their time interacting in that space. Here we just used the definition of addiction, which is really just to give a sense of when you do something repeatedly, as with a substance, for example, despite the fact that there's a substantial harm that it causes to you, but maybe because you find it pleasurable, you go back to it over and over again. And this has been used generally in literature to describe what most people so far call addiction to the internet. I came across a very interesting report that I still have to get my teeth into, that actually says that it does not characterize this, you know, spending of so much time online as an addiction, but as problematic internet use. But most observers, they see this as an addiction and quite harmful. Some of the statistics that we have is that in cell phone addiction in the USA, you can see it in this picture, where that, you know, on average, people spend 3 hours on their phone per day, 110 times the number of times people check their phones per day. And I'm sure we are also rating somewhere close to that. And 40% of people who have used their phones in the bathroom, and 12% actually in the shower. That's how people are so attached to their cell phones. In South Africa, the Bureau for Market Research at UNISA, they've been doing similar studies with school children in Gauteng. And these are some of the stats that they come up with, that school children report to depend on cell phones. 70% of them, they checked their phones as soon as they woke up, and 60% actually said they could not live without their cell phone. The study also showed that 55% use their phones in the bathroom during meals, and during meals. 78.5% they felt nervous or anxious when they couldn't find their phone. 20% said they had stolen money for airtime or data. Okay, so what is it about? We think that there's something to account for this, right? I'm sure most colleagues are familiar with the term for a generation called millennials, who were born between 1981 and 1996. A lot of observers say that this is the most depressed generation ever. They have found that the rate of suicide has trebled since the 1950s. That there's also this disorder, the narcissistic personality disorder, which is seen to be 3 times higher for people who are in their 20s today. So you have quite a lot of things that are happening, the context that young people are growing in, that are driving some of these things that we are seeing. So some of it is why we have these high levels of narcissistic personality disorder. Some people, they also attribute it to exposure to reality shows, and it's reality shows in inverted commas, because most of that life is staged and people are showing one side of their lives, which is about making it, being successful and making it through the odds. But that young people find unattainable, and they tend to look at themselves as people who are losers because they cannot live up to those standards. But because they are exposed to this thing on a daily basis, it seems like some kind of a reality that for some reason they are slightly outside of and they cannot break through into. Some of the and that has been seen to drive numbers of suicide. But if you look at the different causes of suicide, we know that depression is one of those moments that can lead to a person committing suicide. There's also a genetic tendency, so it's wired in some people to be more inclined to low moods. There's also the environmental factors, especially at the home, especially when there's a conflict between parents for growing children. That becomes a highly stressful thing to deal with. And when you look at some of the causes of depression, one of the things is loneliness and social isolation. This is very important to think about, especially in this period of extended lockdowns as a result of COVID-19. That has, suddenly children who used to have access. I read this very interesting article on suicide in the Sunday papers about a child who has tried to commit suicide quite a number of times. And one of the things that they mention is the sudden sort of halt to routine where children would go to school, meet friends, and run around. And I think that sense of isolation has been felt quite universally and across different generations within our society and outside of South Africa. It's something that we need to be on the lookout for as a major concern that we have to be worried about. And again, bullying. So if a child is bullied at school or online, that becomes a factor also that leads to depression. And as you've seen with the numbers from our convergence survey, more and more teenagers are using the internet as a primary means of communication. So, there are all these new terms that are coming in play: netizens, cyber natives. This is their world. They interact. Sometimes they make long-term friendships with people they haven't met face to face. But I think conventional wisdom shows that time spent online is less time spent in real life. So it's something for parents to consider to ensure that they mix up the opportunities for children to actually engage with other children in a physical space. Of course, under COVID-19 conditions, you want that to happen in a way that is as safe as possible.
Sorry to jump in there. It sounds as if we've lost your sound. Can you just check your sound, please? And then also if you can try wrap up. I think you've run out of your time as well.
Can you hear me now?
Much better, thank you.
Let's just, okay, I'm going to skip Lynette, can you give me 3 minutes to just play a video that just talks about the long-term effect of bullying? Is that too much?
And then you wrap up straight after that. Thanks, Opa. Okay, Opa, we're not getting the sound from your video.
Apologies to jump in. Opa, could I ask for you to please stop your video? If you can please unshare, and let's go back to sharing where you take your 2 options to optimize sound. Sorry, Opa, we've lost your sound again. I'm going to quickly mute you. I'm going to ask for you to unmute. There we go. If you can try unmuting yourself, Opa. I currently cannot hear you, Opa. Apologies, Opa, we still do not have sound coming from you. Lynette, I'd like to ask, with your permission, perhaps if we move on to our next speaker, we could always just come back to Opa's video. I do apologize.
That's not a problem. Thank you so much. Opa, we will see if we can't in the background try and get your sound working for your video. But thanks very much for the presentation thus far. We will come back to the video if we do have a chance to sort that out. So I think, just to wrap up on what Opa says, just some comments from my side. The one thing that stands out for me is not being a millennial myself. So not being a millennial myself, I think for me, having millennials in my house growing up, that the distinction between real life and online life is something that we need to phase out, because for many millennials, I think for all millennials and kids growing up today, their online life is their real life. So I think if we start already by doing away with that distinction, we will find better ways of being able to support our children in this way of life that is normal for them, but still something we need to get used to. And then I think the other thing I just wanted to pick up from what Opa was sharing with us is that a lot of the statistics and research that we're seeing on the online space comes to us from outside of South Africa. Organizations like our own, as well as some partners like UNISA and some other people are doing research in South Africa on a smaller scale. And I think without that sort of facts and research, we can't really work out proper programs of how do we help not only just our millennials and our children, but also ourselves to become more cyber savvy. And to be safer on the internet. So it's a call I want to put out to all our delegates that are out there. If you are in the space of doing research, we're always welcome to open to new partnerships, and you're welcome to contact us. It's a big field, and a lot more needs to be done to get the information that we need to move forward. And on that note, I would like to introduce you to our next speaker, who is from an organization in the sort of digital services space, and who is very much at the forefront of making sure that the services that they offer are as safe as possible. The Google South Africa is one of our long-term partners, and they have worked tirelessly behind the scenes on their side. They are always bringing in new tools, new techniques to help parents, to help families, to help children be safer using their products. So I'd like to introduce now Yolanda Mlonzi from Google South Africa. As I said, a long-term partner, and thanks again for joining us every year for Safer Internet Day, Yolanda. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lynette. So as Lynette said, I'm Yolanda and I'm from Google. So as you probably see, my camera angle is slightly different to everyone else's. I'm currently using my phone, but I guess that's the power of technology, being able to use different devices. I'd like to acknowledge the Deputy Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies, and just to extend a word of thanks to her. She has really been a champion of online safety over the last couple of years, and really elevated the work that the different partners on this call have been doing. I'd also like to thank the FPB for bringing us together in this very new and different format, which is virtual. It has its challenges, but I think it also demonstrates the power of the internet and technology. I'd like to say hello to the parents and learners on this call. You are the important stakeholders. This work, we are all doing this work so that you can be much more safer and responsible online. And of course, hello to our online safety partners who walk this journey with us to ensure that children across South Africa are being empowered to be safer online. So as Lynette said, online safety at Google is a priority area for us. We recognize that a lot of young people are using our products, whether it's for education or for entertainment. And COVID-19 definitely, I think, leapfrogged all of us to be much more in tune and to use technology and the internet for education and learning. So we understand that as much as children are using our platforms for these purposes, it is also our shared responsibility to ensure, or try to ensure, that young people are safe on our platforms. I really want to acknowledge what the previous speaker said about the importance of parents being part of this. As much as stakeholders can do, digital literacy programs, but parents definitely need to be part of this. At Google, we approach online safety through different forms. One of the ways that we do this is through our products. So we are constantly trying to build and update products that help parents manage and monitor their children's activity online. One of these products is called Family Link app. And we also have an app called Digital Wellbeing. And this is really for children and parents alike to kind of assess how they are using the internet. Are they spending too much time on social media, or as opposed to doing their homework? So basically, these tools really try to empower parents and children to critically think about the way they're using the internet, and hopefully open up a discussion and habits to use the internet more responsibly. On this note, we are having an online safety training for parents later on today. So I would urge all the parents and learners on this call to please join that, so that you understand these tools a bit more and are also able to use this to your advantage. The other way that we protect children online is through our policies. So we have a zero tolerance policy when it comes to child sexual abuse material. We take it down, and over and above that, we work with law enforcement agencies across the globe to ensure that we help them in the process of taking down the content and finding perpetrators. In addition to that, we do have community guidelines that clearly state what is allowed or not allowed on our platforms. And we also try and provide users tools to flag content. So as much as Google is, of course, quite big, but sometimes, we can't catch it all. And so we rely on all of you to flag content when you see it. So for example, on YouTube, there is a flag that you can press and report content. And then the last thing that I really want to highlight is the digital literacy programs that we've invested in and continue to invest in. Of course, the Web Ranger program that we're partnering on with Media Monitoring Africa, the FPB, and other partners is one of the most important programs that teaches young people how to be safe online. I think for me, one of the greatest things that has also come out of the program is that not only is Media Monitoring Africa and the partners, cultivating young people who will be able to use the internet for good, but they are also cultivating young leaders who are giving perspectives to public policy debates and other forums. And to that end, we as a company, we felt that it's so important to try and ensure that more children are exposed to online safety content. That is why we embarked last year on a partnership with the Western Cape Education Department on an online safety curriculum integration process. I'm happy to share that in the Western Cape, all public high schools will be learning about online safety curriculum content. And that is a great first step in ensuring that more children learn about this. But the work does not end there. So that is why last year, during Safer Internet Day, we announced the 1 million Africa Online Safety Fund, where we invited organizations across Africa to apply and propose innovative ideas on how we can better empower young people to be safer online and smarter online. The fund is sponsored by our philanthropic arm, google.org, and is administrated by Impact Amplifier. So we obviously got a lot of applications across the continent, and this was the same for South Africa. And I'm happy to announce that today, we have 26 organizations across Africa who will benefit rather from this online safety fund, and 6 are coming from South Africa. I really think that is an amazing effort to really push the agenda forward, because one thing that we know as a company is that no one organization can solve for online safety. It requires a together effect. It takes a village, right? So that's why we are so happy to announce that 6 more organizations, we'll be supporting 6 more organizations rather, to really work on child protection. So who are these 6 organizations, you may wonder? So I'm just going to go quickly through the list. The first is a Center for Analytics and Behavioral Change. So they will be looking at misinformation and disinformation in the COVID-19 period. The second organization is Dream Factory Foundation. So they will be embarking on a project that will put together online educational campaigns for young people in the health space. We've got Encode as well, who will be creating a framework and guideline for defining age-appropriate online services. And I think for parents, that might be a very interesting thing to look at, to understand what should my child be actually accessing and not accessing. We've also got an organization called Fundani. They will be engaging and training teachers, students about online safety and trying to integrate this, in a local district in the education system there. We've also got Global Leading Light initiatives, where they will be driving a student-led online safety campaign. And last but not least, we've got Media Monitoring Africa, who has honestly been one of our longest standing online safety partner and continue to do incredible work, where they will be creating and distributing educational online comic strips to teach young people how to critically decipher information and discern between credible and misinformation online. So these are the 6 organizations in South Africa that we will be supporting with this fund. And it excites me to know that more and more organizations are coming on board to help everyone actually to be safer online, and most importantly, our young people. So that's pretty much the announcement that we wanted to share as Google today. We are committed to online safety and continue to invest. And we'd like to thank, of course, FPB for the platform to share. And then one last reminder is we do have an online safety training for parents and children. So please do attend that, because we can do all of the digital. We can have the tools, the products, the policies, but if you do not know how to use them or don't know where they are, then our work is definitely cut out for us. So please do join that. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. I think, as always, a pleasure to work with you guys. The more we share our platforms like this, as you're saying, the the more we actually have an opportunity to reach more people. So our call and our shout out to everybody that's joined us today is go to our various breakaway sessions that are coming up after this session. That's where the practical tips and the techniques are going to be shared. We'll have Google, we'll have a number of our other stakeholders that are there to teach you not just about safety on the internet, but also about the opportunities that are out there. So, for example, the fund that Yolanda was talking about, I think, I'm sure, Yolanda, the more people that reach out to you and that join up, the larger we get this mission, this sort of quest that we're on to get cyber safety to a larger number of people, the more that gains momentum. So we need each and every person that is here to actually come on board and to not only just go and find out the information for yourself, but also go and share it with as many people in your organization. If you're here from a school, get your school involved, get your learners and your teachers involved. If you're here from an NGO, find out, link up with the likes of Google and find out how you can bring it into your organization and through your organization to your community. So that is one of the big outcomes from today that we would like to see, that we are networking and connecting more people up so that we have a stronger and stronger army of cyber safety ambassadors out there in South Africa. So thank you so much, Yolanda. And with that, I would also like to then switch over now to another one of our partners that is both a partner of Google and the Film and Publication Board, and that is the Web Rangers program. So Web Rangers has also been running for a while in South Africa, but it's also an international program. And in South Africa, we have Media Monitoring Africa that are the convener and basically coordinator of that program. So with us today, we have a very energetic young lady that we've worked with for a long time. She actually is one of the coordinators that works with the children on the Web Rangers program. And I think you're here to launch the 2021 Web Rangers, Phakamile. So yes. Over to you and take us through the program, please.
Thank you so much, Lynette. Thank you once again for being invited to this wonderful event. My name is Phakamile Khumalo, and I lead the Web Rangers program in South Africa. Just a little bit about Web Rangers for our parents and learners that are hearing this for the first time. So Web Rangers is a digital literacy program that is designed to empower South African youth with critical media and digital literacy skills, so they're able to engage with media and the internet responsibly and encourage their peers to do the same. So quite a mouthful. Please join us for our session later on, where you'll hear more about Web Rangers from the Web Rangers themselves. The theme for 2021 for Safe Internet Day is Together for a Better Internet. And I think when I think about Web Rangers, I think it fits so perfectly within this theme. And I'll give you 3 reasons why. The first one is that we empower young people to become active digital citizens. Now, if you think about the word active digital citizens, we can't work together to create a better internet if we don't have the skills and the knowledge about what is online safety. What is it when we talk about online safety? What is it when we talk about being a responsible internet user? What is that? And we create or we enable young people through our training to become active digital citizens. So there has to be a mind shift. There has to be a movement of young people that have been trained and have kind of like awakened to the potential of the internet, but also the responsibility behind being part of the internet or being part of the digital world. And that's when we talk about active digital citizen. The second one is that we helped develop young people's advocacy skills, and a lot of programs don't really focus on that. But once young people have been trained or have gained the skills and knowledge to create innovative campaigns, which is what we teach them, then we allow them to teach others through the campaigns, so that we create a better, so that they are sharing the knowledge and skills of what they've learned through the program and create a better internet for all. And the third one, which is also a very important one that you from Google mentioned, is that Web Rangers empowers young people to engage in ICT-related policies and discussions. So their voices are heard by very high-level or high-profile policymakers, tech companies, and government. And that's really where we are able to get our young people's voices in important policy discussions and important documents that are read in Parliament and in government. And that's where all the change really happens. So that's really the critical three elements about Web Rangers that really is unique to Web Rangers and also makes it a program that works across South Africa. And so today, as we launch the 2021 intake, we have more than 100 young people that have been recruited and are being ready to train from across all 9 provinces. And that really brings us great joy. When we spoke to the Honorable Deputy Minister a few years back, I think when she came to our award ceremony, she said, you guys need to come to Limpopo. We are in Limpopo now, Deputy Minister. We are there. We are actually in all 9 provinces. And that just speaks to the impact that the Web Rangers program is having across all 9 provinces. And now with a move to having everything online, we're able to be inclusive to all young people across the country. And so really today we're very excited to launch the program, excited to start our training with our young people and really start the journey to online safety with them. I would be a great failure if I didn't mention that our Web Rangers program is made possible by amazing partners who are the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, the Film and Publication Board, MTN, we have Google, we have Facebook, we have Dana Schatz Attorney, and of course the lead implementing partner, which is Media Monitoring Africa. And so these partners have come together to ensure that we create a really successful program that works for young people and that really puts them in a position where they can lead discussions about online safety. And so I have a video. I know that I was supposed to bring a young person, but Joy was not able to join us physically, but she really wanted to share the impact the program has had on her in the last 3 years that she's been part of the program. And so I really want you to take a moment and just listen to Joy. And she brings so much wealth to this program as an ambassador after 3 years being trained, and also showing the impact that the program has had for her, even after being trained 3 years ago as a Web Ranger. So please, if you can, Lolo, if you can share that video, if it's possible.
Hi everybody, my name is Joy Fakude and I was part of the 2019 Macaulay House High School Web Ranger team. And yes, that was 3 years ago, but I am still harvesting today the fruits of the seeds I had sowed 3 years ago, because joining the Web Ranger program was probably one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. I thought that we'd come into the program, they would make us do a lot of work, and then after a year I would be out. But that was 100% not how the program went. At the Web Ranger program, I learned so much on the digital realm, which is so important now, especially since we're going into the 4th industrial revolution. I learned everything from your digital footprint to how to stay safe online to the dark net. It was just absolutely amazing. And everybody seems to think that you join the program and it's for a year and after that you're done. But not only do you have the knowledge on how to keep yourself safe online, which you can share with people around you, but Web Rangers opens up so many doors of opportunities for you. For example, I was blessed with the opportunity to go to Germany and to talk to some high profile people to allow children to help them in decision-making processes. I believe, as well as with the Web Rangers, the Web Ranger program, that if you give a child the information and the knowledge they need to help you make decisions, then why not allow them to help you make the decisions? So that's basically what we were talking about at Germany. And it was the first time I'd ever left the continent of Africa. So I was like all excited. And till this day, that has to be the best memory I have ever. So the Web Ranger program is absolutely amazing. Also, with my sets of skills that I learned from Web Rangers, I was accepted to be part of the AI Youth Council, which is the Artificial Youth Council. And it only has a very selective number of people across the whole world. So I'm working with people in America, in Mexico, in I don't know where else. I can't even think now. But I'm working with a lot of different people, and it's all because of the Web Ranger program. So as we launch the Web Ranger program today, I am asking you to give it your all. Don't think of it as just another program, another online program that's going to take me a year and I'm going to be done with it, but give it your 100% all. Because with the knowledge that you have gained, with the set of skills that you have, so many opportunities are going to come knocking at your door. So I really hope the Web Ranger program is as amazing for you guys as it was for me, and I wish y'all the very best. Please do feel free to ask me any questions anytime you want to. Ms. Pagamile does have my contact, so if you have any questions that you'd like to ask me, let me know, and I wish you guys the very, very, very best. Bye, guys!
Thank you so much, Lolo, for sharing that video with us. And that's, as I said, and she had mentioned, she's one of our web rangers from 2019, and she still is benefiting from the skills and the knowledge that she's gained from the Web Rangers program. And so as we launch today, again, very excited to welcome our new web rangers. There's going to be so many opportunities for us to engage, so many opportunities for you to even engage with the partners that are on this call. I want to say you really have taking a good step, taking a wonderful step, and you will not regret being part of this amazing team of web rangers and being involved in online safety. This is going to be the start of an amazing journey of you becoming an active digital citizen. So welcome to the program, and all the best of luck. And thank you so much for again, FPB, for giving us an opportunity to be able to launch the program here. And we will be having a session later on. We'll be discussing the importance of children's rights to the protection of their personal information and privacy online. So please join us for that session and hear our amazing web rangers. If you think Joy has been amazing with her video, please join us to hear other amazing web rangers as they share their stories and they share what they've learned regarding online safety. Thank you so much, Lynette.
Camille, thank you very much for the energy that your young lady Joy just brought to the event. I think it's brilliant when I see young children that are so bubbly and that are so passionate, and it's that passion that we need to take us forward. So as Pakamile was saying, the Web Rangers will be on one of our breakaway sessions, and we encourage you to go there and to learn more about children's rights and how do they protect themselves online, because real life again rights and online rights are exactly the same. So with every right, then obviously also comes a responsibility. And I think that's the balance that we always need to keep as users of the internet and social media. So just a funny story. You'll see that my laptop is slightly raised now. I just had colleagues from one of the other units at the Film and Publication Board come and tell me, we can see your nostrils. Please lift your laptop up. So just to tell you guys, I do apologize for that, but I have now tried to sort that problem out. And just another technical issue that we're having is that I believe our Miss South Africa, if you can hear me, I believe you've joined into the wrong session. So we have been trying to reach you to ask if you can go back to your link and just click on the speaker link, not the participant link. Please, so that we can get you on here, and I know you have a lot to say. Perfect, thank you. So while we do that, I think I'd like to now introduce you to a very new partner for Film and Publication Board, and this is also just shows you the power of networking. So we actually got to know the organization called Know Before through our links with the Department of Communications and Digital Technologies, and some of the programs that they're running to try and bring safer internet more to the mainstream by running, a little, well, not little, but a competition to create apps that can help people out there in the normal life on staying safe. So I'd like to welcome Anna Collard and say to you, thank you so much for partnering with us this year on Safer Internet Day. We do hope it's the beginning of a long relationship. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Lynette, for having me. And it's a real honor. Like, I listened to some of the previous speakers and it's amazing. I'm really excited to hear what is happening and possibly see how we can collaborate. Let me quickly, I want to try and share my screen. And then I've got a few slides. Just put that in presenter mode. Just a quick check if you can see this. Lynette or Lolo, can somebody just confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Anna, you can carry on.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what I would like to talk about, and again, thanks for having me today, is an initiative, or it's like sort of a collaborative initiative between the cybersecurity industry, the Department of Communications. So big thank you again to the Minister of Communications, who I believe was on earlier, as well as the University of the Western Cape. It's not just the University of the Western Cape, like it's open to any sort of learning institution, but those were sort of the initial core team members who helped us make this possible. And what we've done is kicked off something called the GovX Innovation Challenge. And the way this started was last year we had a conversation with the press and some members of the security industry as well as the public sector. And instead of complaining about, the government can't do enough about online safety and protecting victims of cybercrime, we sort of just threw the idea out to say, well, why don't we kick off a hackathon or an innovation challenge to ask the youth or the students to possibly help and assist with innovative or bright ideas to help tackle this challenge. And that's how GovX was born. Okay, quick thing, Lynette, thanks for the intro. My name is Anna Collard. I've actually started a security awareness company about 11 years ago called Popcorn Training, and we were acquired by Nobifor, which is an American company that specializes in cybersecurity awareness training, mainly in the corporate sector. But the beauty is with my new sort of role called evangelism, which is a funny term, but it allows me to get involved in social endeavors and really meaningful projects that take the content that we've created and possibly share it with the public, or get involved in projects such as the GovX. So why did we launch this? Well, there's a couple of challenges. The one is that in Africa, not just South Africa, but all over the continent, we just don't have enough people in the cybersecurity industry. And, I've been in it now for 20 years for my sins. And I know that the various organizations I've worked for, we could never find people that have the skills, because as soon as they have them, they get poached by overseas companies or by other companies, and we just don't have enough people. The other problem that was mentioned earlier on as well is, with the move to the fourth industrial revolution, and this whole pandemic, it sort of brought digitization to the forefront much quicker than we probably sort of anticipated. And that is not possible without proper cybersecurity or online safety. And the other challenge that we have in South Africa is specifically, we have an organization called the Cyber Hub that is responsible to help consumers or citizens or victims of cybercrime. And unfortunately, the setup or the response at the moment is not possibly to the level it should be. And the other thing, which is something I'm particularly interested in and passionate about, is that when we talk about online gender-based violence, it's not something we hear mentioned a lot in Africa. And currently, unfortunately, there isn't actually much at all that helps victims of online gender-based violence, and particularly African women or women of color, unfortunately, are even more so affected by this than their white counterparts. So this is absolutely something that we have to nip in the bud, that we need to find innovative solutions to help the victims of this online hate speech and misogynistic kind of behavior, as well as, you know, teach and educate the young girls and women on what to do that they don't fall into sort of this kind of trap in the first place. So the great thing is that there's a bunch of companies that came together, BCX, Enclose. There's also, luckily, like we had to launch an MPO, and a lot of people came on board on a pro bono basis to become directors and help and sponsor. So it's really amazing to see how the industry is willing to get involved and help tackle this challenge. The objective, as I said, is really to drive innovation towards a more digitized and cyber-safe South Africa. It's awesome to see what Google is doing, and I took a note of all the organizations that were mentioned, because it will be great to see whatever, you know, this hackathon or this innovation challenge comes up with that could possibly benefit those organizations. And really, we were inspired by the X Prize Foundation, which is this big thing in the States. Obviously, they have a bit more budget than we do, but the idea is that solutions can come from anyone and anywhere. And the idea is to incentivize the solution and challenge the youth to solve it. So the three challenges I think I've mentioned already. The first one is to assist victims of cybercrime by helping the Cyber Hub or the National Cybersecurity Incidents Response Team to come up maybe with more effective or innovative response techniques. For one example, one idea was to possibly we can create a WhatsApp or Signal or some other chat mechanism that then hooks into all the volunteers that are around to help when and if a victim reports. The second one I mentioned was the prevention and the curbing of online gender-based violence. And then thirdly, to raise cybersecurity awareness amongst our communities and a citizen to make sure that they don't become victims in the first place. The timeline, so we've kicked off on the 1st of February, but there's still, if there are students that are listening or parents who have students who have to be older than 18, unfortunately, that is that is one of the qualifying criteria. But what is happening right now is that there is a webinar every day. We will have an expert sharing expertise and knowledge about a different topic of cybersecurity or online safety. So every day you have the chance to listen to really the best of the country and sort of gain insights. And then we hope to get the initial idea submissions by the end of this month in February. So have the different teams submit their initial concepts. And then what happens in March, we will then choose the top 10 winning teams, or not winning, the top 10 qualifying teams. Those teams will then go through a sort of mentorship program where, again, we have experts from the industries that will sit with the students like every week. They have sessions with them and coach them towards whether their idea needs a bit more, a different direction or a bit more insight. And then by the end of April, we will look forward to the final submission of the idea. It doesn't necessarily have to be an app, so you don't have to be a coder at all. It could be a new process. It could be a new campaign. So I'm also inviting the girls and anyone who's interested in communication. Like, cybersecurity is so vast. It's not just technology, to participate. And I guess, then the big thing or hoo-ha will happen in May, where we will announce the winner or the winning teams. And let me just go there quickly. The cool thing there is that we have 100,000 Rand for the first prize. So the best idea chosen by the judges will get 100,000 Rand. The runner-up is 30,000. Third prize is 10,000 Rand. But also a lot of the sponsors and mentor companies offer to provide bursaries as well as internships in their organizations. And then what we're also hoping is that this initiative is not just this one-off hackathon, but that these students will create relationships with their mentors, that they hopefully see how amazing the cybersecurity industry is as an industry to join and to choose it as a possible career choice. Like I said earlier, we don't have enough people, especially not enough girls and women in the industry. So this is sort of a massive side effect that we're hoping to achieve, is to really inspire more youngsters to choose cybersecurity as a career path. And that is really it. I know I just had 10 minutes, so I tried to rush it a bit, Lynette. But yeah, so I'm really, again, grateful for the opportunity to share this with you here. If you're a parent or a student, please go to govex.co.za, and there is like a get involved button where you can then register. As soon as you register, you get access to all the webinars also on demand. So it's, even if you've missed the kickoff, it's still all there on video, so you can watch it at your own leisure. Even just watching the content is great because you're learning from literally the creme de la creme from South Africa's cybersecurity industry, and yeah, and then participate in the actual innovation challenge itself. So yeah, if there are any questions, Lynette, let me know. Otherwise, I'll yeah, wish you a really happy, safe internet day today. And the lineup looks amazing. And thanks again for having me.
Anna, thanks so much. I am very grateful to your company for having come along and taken hands with us. I would like to also encourage everyone that's on here, if you are a company and you have any way to mentor the kids that are on going to enter this challenge, or you have opportunities where they can come along and maybe do experiential working, or even a bursary at your company, we would really like to encourage you. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have been trying to stall a little bit because we were trying to get Miss South Africa logged on, but I've just been told by the technical team that we haven't had any success there yet. Joan or Lolo, can you just confirm for me if we should we wait a little bit, or can I wrap up? What is the status there?
Thank you, Lynette. So we're not winning with getting Miss Essay on. If you are comfortable with it, and just in consideration of time, perhaps we can move on with our program.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we had hoped to bring some glitz and glamour to you today. I know that our current Miss South Africa, Shudufatso Mosina, is very passionate about the cyber safety element, and I think she would have been a great way for us to wrap up today, but technology is not on our side. But I'm sure she, is an ambassador for cyber safety. So for any one of our next events, I think, we will reach out again, and we hope that she will be able to join us. So I'd just like to take a few minutes to remind everyone that we do now have the more sort of practical sessions that are happening in our breakaway rooms. At the end of this session, there will be a little bit of a break, and then you will be connected into the breakaway sessions. If you have selected a breakaway where there are two breakaways running at the same time, as I was saying earlier, we will have the video material from the other breakaway session on, basically all the breakaway sessions on our YouTube channel later on. So if you do miss out on anything, you can always go back there. But we would like to encourage you that going to that breakaway rooms is an opportunity to engage. It's an opportunity to make inputs and insights, or to ask your questions. So we really would like to encourage you to go along. As I also mentioned earlier, after the breakaway sessions, the chat rooms will still be open, and all our various organizations, including Film and Publication Board, will still be there to take further questions, further engagements, do some networking, and see how you can link your organization, your children, your schools up with these organizations who are doing amazing work. And I think, we've heard just the surface today of what is available out there for us all to learn more about cyber safety. With that, I'd also like to now just officially close up this session of our Safer Internet Day Expo and kick off the actual Expo section. So I'd just like to thank a few people. So, an event like this is not something that happens overnight. It's something that we have been planning for a while. And we got thrown a bit of a curveball when the lockdown rules changed, where we had to then move our Expo, which was going to be a physical event, completely online. So I'd just like to firstly thank all our partners that have been with us today. for having the patience and bearing with us as we changed our format. And thanks for still sticking around and coming on board with us this year. I'd also like to then, to our Deputy Minister, you are always an inspiration to us, and I think you challenge us in the Film and Publication Board to do more and more, specifically in this area that I know is a great passion for you, on how do we get even our most rural children connected up with the technologies that can kickstart their future, but how do we allow them to do that safely? So thank you very much again, Deputy Minister, for your time today and for joining us. I'd also like to then do a shout out to all our partners from the Department of Digital Communications and Digital Technologies, who will be hosting one of the chat rooms as the breakaway sessions as well in the chat rooms. As well as Google, Facebook, Media Monitoring Africa, Diane Schwartz Attorneys, MTN Foundation, Tsimolo Hong, which is another one of our new partners that we welcome on board, Know Before. We also want to thank the Tami Dish Foundation for trying to hook us up with Miss South Africa. We know that you will also be in our corner when we need to sort of call on her again for another event, and we hope, to work with her again. And then also I'd like to say a very big thank you to the team from the Film and Publication Board. We work very well together in our organization. I like to say thank you to the team as well as our events company, Events Options. They've helped us to move from our previous webinars, if you've joined us, were on MS Teams, and we've been trying really hard to try and make it a bit more of a professional looking event for you. So our team at Event Options, to Lolo and Joan and the rest of the team, thank you so much for all your assistance. And then finally, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen that our Miss South Africa has joined us. So we've sorted out the technical challenges. Can I just, can I just get confirmation, Lolo? Are we okay there?
Hi, Lynette. Yes, we've got Ms. Musida on with us. Ms. Musida, you're welcome to activate your camera.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
It's on.
Great. Shudufatso Musina, our current reigning Miss South Africa, thank you so much for joining us. And we apologize that, all the technical problems that we were having. But we are very grateful that you can join us today. And if you would like to take the floor for us, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me, and apologies for the technical difficulties. So I'll just be speaking on tackling mental illnesses in the digital space. It's quite a tricky one because we have to be responsible digital citizens for it to be to have a positive impact. Because currently there's so many resources online that help people who can't possibly afford treatment to have accessibility to these resources. So in that regard, there's a lot of resources and a lot of online platforms that help tackle mental health in a positive way, help further the cause of destigmatizing mental health on a daily basis. But then on the other hand, or on the other end of the spectrum, we find that there's things such as cyberbullying that can have a negative impact on mental illnesses. And those are the you could call that the ugly side of the social media space or the online space, where you find a lot of cases of children dying by suicide, or even the older generation as well, dying by suicide due to cyberbullying or to depression and anxiety set on by social media. So in terms of tackling mental health in that kind of regard or in that kind of space, it becomes difficult to navigate because it depends on the user themselves and the users around and how you use your social media and how you use your online platform. You can either use it for good or use it for bad, but then there's so many people that have been negatively affected by it. also been positively affected by it. I mean, from a personal story, I've been positively and negatively affected by social media in terms of my mental health, whereby positively I learned more about mental health and mental illnesses through Instagram, where someone did a live, and in that live they were talking about mental illnesses and mental health in general, mental wellness, and the information that they imparted on that live helped me decide to seek out help, helped me decide to prioritize my mental health and to constantly check in, even if it was on a small scale, because small victories matter. But on the other end of the spectrum, you find that I've been cyberbullied before. But one thing that I learned about it was to not take anything personally. But the first time it happened, I remember suffering with my anxiety. But then thereafter, I realized, listen, you can't really take anything personally that happens in a digital space. But not everyone thinks like that, and not everyone has that sort of learning with them where they can't not take it personally. No. So I started Mindful Mondays to engage in these conversations with mental issues, the digital space, or the online space rather, to positively affect mental health and mental illnesses, and to destigmatize mental health and inform how we as a society view mental health. And that was quite important for me. Because I've seen both ends of the spectrum, and I've seen how when you use it positively, it can have a positive outcome in terms of tackling mental health in this day and age. So I think it's literally all about being a responsible digital citizen, and using the platform correctly, and just making sure that you always check in as an individual, even if you're not the person that's imparting negative or positive energy out into the digital space. How you, when it comes to mental health or mental illness, how you project and how you receive information can either negatively or positively impact your mental health. And that's where Mindful Mondays comes in. It provides a safe space for people to learn more about mental health, to stigmatize about mental health, but also share their stories and how they can find healing and find the right resources, which are online, such as SADC and many other organizations that can help in terms of tackling mental illnesses and mental health. Hello.
Hi, I think, have we lost sound? Shudufadzu, are you still there?
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay, thank you so much. I think, just to wrap up our session today, it's a perfect way to end, to find somebody that can talk from personal experience. And, I am sure it was not something easy to have to go through, and we thank you so much for coming and sharing your personal story. So if I can just remind everyone, it's Mindful Mondays. Perhaps, look it up and see if you can join our Miss South Africa on those Mindful Monday platform, and find out a bit more about how to stay mentally healthy in the online space. Join the conversation. I think this is what we've been saying throughout the day, is you need to make your voice heard. The online space and social media has the benefit of giving everybody a voice. When I was growing up, if you weren't in the media, it was hard to get your voice heard. But this online space, one of the benefits it comes with is that you have a voice that you can make heard far and wide. But just always remember, as Miss South Africa was telling us, along with that comes the responsibility to put out positive and not negative messages. So with that, I'd like to then also add to the vote of thanks that I was doing previously, Miss South Africa, for joining us and for taking the time. I'm sure you have a very full calendar. So thank you so much for joining us. And then I'd like to ask everybody on the platform today that have joined us for Safer Internet Day 2021, please go ahead and at the end of the session, join our breakaway rooms, join our chat rooms, and more than anything else, we hope that we are going to start for you a journey today where you can become a cyber safety ambassador. That is your entry fee, basically. We want you to go out and take the messages and the tools that you are going to learn about later on today, out into your communities, out into your organizations, and especially to teach the children of South Africa how to become, firstly, responsible cyber citizens, but then also to be safe online. I'd like to also just quickly indicate that the Film and Publication Board breakaway session, we will also deal with a topic that we didn't really touch on too much in this morning's session, which is child sexual abuse material. It's happening more and more online, so please also take the time and go and join my colleagues from Film and Publication Board in that session, because I think it is essential for the safety of our children into the future, which is much more and more online, that we give them those skills to be able to look after themselves online. So with that, I'd like to say also thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Without you, we couldn't have had this session today. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the sessions in the breakaway rooms and the chat rooms for the remainder of the day. Thank you very much.